Hey guys, little video here. Some of my pals on iNinja Poker and also on Blue Shark Optics team have asked me about how the Twitch setup works. I'm not an expert on Twitch, but I have done all the research to launch a Twitch channel and learned a lot of things about broadcasting poker on Twitch. And I don't think there's a good video out there teaching people how to do that, so hopefully this will be helpful. This is your Twitch profile and channel. When you click on channel, this is what you get. And it shows what will show whenever you're offline. If you're online and broadcasting, it'll be right here. Next to it is just move this over so you can see it, is the chat screen. The chat is over here, so people can interact with you and with each other while they're watching you. You can put a picture up here. You can change a lot of settings there, options. All this stuff is pretty simple. You typically want to make your name and channel name the same as your Twitter handle. I didn't do that, but most people do, and it's usually the way to go, so it's easy for people to find you. Make sure when people search Twitch and they're looking for you, make sure they can find you, so including your name or whatever in somewhere on your profile is important. Your latest broadcast will go up here, so if I click this, I'll see what I recorded last night. And then these are your panels. There won't be any panels, or there might be one coming soon panel when you first log on. If you click on for edit panels, you can change these and add images and then make the images links. So what I've done is each of these is a link to each of my sponsors. And then I have a coming soon because I don't have a schedule yet. But a schedule is really important. I've listened to a lot of podcasts and talked to a lot of people who are big on Twitch, and they say the biggest thing is having a consistent schedule and having it posted in the panels. The very top panel should be your schedule. People want to know when you're on, and they want you to be on consistently. If you're always on from 8 to midnight Eastern time every night, your subscriber base will grow a lot faster than if you're sporadically doing it. So regular, even if it's you only do the Sunday grind and you want to do all the Sunday tournaments from noon to 8 Sunday Eastern time, that's a great thing. As long as you have a consistent schedule and you have it posted on your site and you're always there when you say you're going to be there, that really helps build subscribers. It's probably the most helpful thing other than being entertaining. You can put anything in these panels. I put a link to my book as well. If you're an iNinja Pro, you're going to want this iNinja link, and I can send you the logo if you don't have one. If you're a PPC Pro, I can do the same thing. And if you're with Blue Shark Optics, I can send you this, or Carrie can send you lots of different versions of the Blue Shark logo. When you're ready to broadcast, you won't actually be using Twitch. That's something that confuses a lot of people. Twitch is the place where people see your broadcast, but they don't have a broadcasting client. What you're going to use is a broadcaster, and there are a couple of broadcasters. If you're just getting started and you want it to be free, there's a thing called OBS, which is Open Broadcasting Software. And you can Google OBS Twitch download and you'll find it right away. I use a thing called XSplit, which I think is $6 a month maybe. It's very inexpensive, and it worked a lot better for me when I first got started. This is XSplit, and we'll just get rid of Twitch for now, so XSplit is featured right here. This is XSplit. XSplit will broadcast whatever is in this panel, this big panel here. If you click broadcast, and I've got a couple options of what to broadcast here, and you set up your Twitch account. It's very simple. Once you have a Twitch account set up and you click this, it will take you to a place where you can authorize that Twitch account to broadcast, and then when I click on it, it would just start broadcasting. You can add channels and have a whole list of them here if you're broadcasting to multiple channels. I have the Foxwoods channel because I was running the Foxwoods broadcast a few weeks ago. When you start, you will have a blank scene. All 12 of these are scenes. 12 scenes in each thing. Create these scenes and then bounce back and forth. My break screen, if I want to go break screen with my sponsors and my chat, people will see that, and you see the sponsors list is a scrolling widget. I'll show you how to use those too. And this is the chat, and there hasn't been any chat recently, so there's nothing there. But if I go back to my Twitch channel, enter in some chat, I've got a moderator program called Nightbot. There's also one called Moobot, M-O-O-B-O-T, and Nightbot. If you can search for those and learn about them. They're separate things that are chat moderators for Twitch, and you can set all kinds of settings in there to help make chat easier and create commands. So when I put hashtag about, Nightbot tells everyone, who is this guy? Read more about Fox here, foxpoker.com/about. It takes people to my bio. And then if I do hashtag charity, it takes people to, it gives a link to reg charity. You can put all kinds of things in there. People will want to know your location, and they can just type in exclamation point location, I think is built in. You can use exclamation points or hashtags for launching those. Then it'll tell people where you're playing from. There's all kinds of other useful things in those, in Nightbot and MooBot. They're both very similar. You can just pick one of them. Now that chat is up here. And that chat comes from a widget that I put in there. I'll explain that as well. But now we have this whole thing. If I click on Carbon with chat, go to here, and the carbon fiber background that a friend of mine made for me has carbon fiber, and then it has holes in it. And so here's the webcam. Usually I have a webcam down in the corner of my videos, so it would always be down here no matter what I was recording, or I could put it up here when I'm recording with Camtasia, which is what I'm using right now. If you want to make training videos or record what's going on your screen and save it as a video and upload it to YouTube like I'm going to do with this, use Camtasia Studio. It's a really slick program. Then I've got my Twitter handle here built into the background. And let's start by just rebuilding this background from the ground up. I have all these things. I'll just turn them off. There we go. So the first thing that I need to have in here is my, where is it? Well, let's get rid of this first. We don't need that because I'm not playing on black chip right now. That's left over from last night. So this is the list of things that I have available that I've already put up in here, and I can see them or not see them. Here's the image that I used here, and I got that just by going add. Anytime you want to add anything, these things have already been added, but anytime you want to add something to this scene, you go add, and then here I'm going to go media file and find an image on my computer, and the image I'm using is this carbon layout with no chat, or carbon layout with chat. I clicked open on that, and it will bring this up because that's this image. Now, this image has transparent in all of these holes so that whatever I put in there isn't being covered up by the image, because we're going to want this image, this carbon with chat, to be at the very top. If you've worked with Photoshop, you know how layers work. This is going to be the top layer when we're done. That way everything else is behind it and all these borders show nicely and it looks good. Then I have a piece of text which I put in here. That is a thing we can add from XSplit. So if I can actually just get rid of that, remove it, it's gone. And now I add text. I should move this up so you could see that. Add text. You can do all kinds of things with this, edit this bit of text and how it looks and what it does. You can animate it, all kinds of things. I just want to go tonight's feature. And you can also put in a little HTML here to give yourself a line break, and then action giveaway. Click OK on that, and there it is. This box sizes itself according to the height. The text is according to height. I can move this box right where I need it. That's a little too big. Make it a little smaller. Now it fits nicely in there. And now it's laid on top. So this will actually be above the layout. I shouldn't have said the layout will be the top layer because it won't be the top, but it'll be above, meaning the other layers. The text will go in front of it. These arrows here determine the layer and how tall the layer is. So if we put this layer on the bottom, as we move it down, we see when it gets below the chat layer, it's gone. You can't see it anymore. So we want it above the chat layer. And we might as well put it at the top because we know we're always going to want that showing. Then here I can add my webcam. That's already in the no chat version. But I didn't use the version with chat last night, so I can use the webcam. Oh, I just turned it off. That's what I did. If I go add and then webcam and go to my Logitech HD Pro webcam, that would pull up a square that is my webcam. But instead I can just turn that on because it's already been added. Just scroll down to find it. There's the C920 right there. Now it's popped up here. Now if I put that above, now see how the borders are gone, and it doesn't look as good. I put that below, and now the borders are around it, and it fits nicely into the layout because the background is over it. I can put text in here, which I've already done. I can put a chat layout in here, and these are all from add. If you click this add, you can add screen capture, you can add an image or a video or some HTML, you can add your webcam, you can add whatever else. And let's get that to show, see if we can make that happen here. Add other, and there's image slideshow, which is what brings up my image slideshow down here with my sponsors in it. You can add video from Skype, you can add the Twitch chat viewer. I use the one of these chat viewers worked a lot better than the other. It's the IRC that worked well for me, but they both work, and that brings in the chat from your Twitch channel. Most people are telling me they'd rather not see that, so I'm often working with this Carbon no chat, which is the same kind of layout. It has the Carbon background, has the everything I need in it, but it doesn't have this chat window over here, which gives me a bigger space for my whatever I'm broadcasting, my poker table. We go back to this Carbon with chat. Let's turn on the image slideshow, and now it's also behind the layout, and I can right click on that. Any of these widgets, you can right click on them, and all of your options will be available. I don't really want this to be turned down. Somehow that's changed. I want it to be, I think, this one. That's not right. What I want is curtain. And let's drop this so we can see it happen fast. Okay, that's not the right one. But there's all these options here. Blind Y, I think, is the one I used to go left to right. No, that's top to bottom, so it must be blind X. There we go. Now they just scroll in, and then you set the speed at which they move. I usually leave that around 10 seconds. When you click add on this, you can add images to it. So I've already added these 4 images, which are the 4 sponsor images with transparent backgrounds, and then they just scroll in here and look pretty good. You can change the layout, and you can change the position, and you can crop them, and you can add effects to the outside of them, all kinds of things you can do to this. And then when you're done with this, just click outside of it and it goes away. Any of these widgets, when you right click on them and you get this control widget, you just can click on outside of them and they go away. I have text that I put in here, so we can go find that. Text now playing. There's that. That's just another text widget that I put in here, and I put behind the layout, and it fits nicely and it looks fine. I want to put the chat in here. I just, it would be add, and then other IRC chat viewer. You may need to go get more plugins from the plugin store to get those chat viewers, but they're easy to find. There's other plugins from the XSplit store. There are other programs that I'll show you that handle some of these things. There's a layout company called Stream Pro, but I've just found that XSplit seems to do almost everything I need. So there we have the basics of the layout. When I turn on this IRC chat viewer, it brings back the chat. And then if I choose a section of the screen, like this is where my poker table sat last night. And so it's broadcasting that portion of the screen, which you can see is catching the edge of this. So there's my mouse, so we can see right where the edge of that section was. When you create this and you say add desktop region, why does that keep happening? Add screen capture, and then you can choose. I got this red set of things, and I can choose to just see that little bit of the screen, and then I can move that to wherever I want it. I move it to here, so it's just over the edges, but then when I move it down in the list of things, then it stays behind that area. So I'm going to get rid of that so that it doesn't screw me up in my next broadcast, but that's how you create that. So you bring up your poker table, and then you do the add screen capture, and you put that area around the poker table. Now if you put it on one table and you're playing multiple tables and they're stacked, so they're popping up behind them, it will stay on the one table that you selected. So you're best off doing a region of the screen either ahead of time, saving a particular region of the screen where your tables always go, or doing just outside the poker table or just to the left of the poker table so that the table itself isn't being activated when you click that red set. You'll see that it'll activate the table, or if you slide out slightly outside the table, it won't activate it, and so it'll choose, rather than a section of the table, it'll choose a section of the screen to always display. And that will also make it display your poker tracker stats, whereas if you just choose the table, the overlay won't show. I think that covers most of XSplit. You can create all these different scenes. So there's some old scenes that I played around with when I first got started. This one's even broken. Here's my break with the sponsors widget, and then the chat widget, and then the break. And that's just an image. So you just make a picture. Pull that down here. You just make a picture that says whatever you want to be displaying when you're on a break. Then it won't display your webcam, anything else, but remember your mic is still on. You can still hear me. And anyone, if I was broadcasting this right now, can still hear me too. So when you're on a break, either kill your mic or don't say anything foolish or flush the toilet. There's a couple other broadcasts here. I was at a final table, so I created this one, and I just used the text widget, and then with the layout effects on that text widget, when I right click on it, I get these layout. And what I did was go to layout. Oh, I went to effects and clicked shape, and then this shape, and then change the radius of the border and how opaque the border was. You can play with all those things. In the shadow, you can turn on and off for any of these things. And that gave me this kind of border around it. So that's just a text widget with a border around it, and I put that below my table display that fit the final table that I was doing at the time. So you have 12 options for scenes. Most people only use a couple. A lot of people only use just a break screen and a regular one, and that's probably mostly what I'll be doing, is this carbon with no chat and then the break screen. Dealing with chat in Twitch, you can make someone a moderator by /mod space and then the name of that person. Anybody that's a friend of yours or is going to be fairly responsible in their use of the chat and knows Twitch, you can make them a moderator, and they can help, especially once you get a lot of people watching your feed. You're going to have trolls and people saying foolish things, and you want to be able to silence those people. Nightbot and Moobot will also help you do that. There's a list of banned terms, and they'll help you moderate other things in your chat automatically. The webcam that I use, you can get lots of perfectly fine $20 or $30 webcams, but the kind of industry standard right now for a reasonably priced webcam is the Logitech C920. It's a really good webcam for $70. It's plug and play. I bought it, I plugged it in, it was ready to go. It's easy to use, it does good quality. I haven't done anything to adjust the image and make it look better. I know it can look a lot better than it does in my broadcasts, but it gets great reviews, and there's tons of them out there, and they're easy to use there. So that's the one that I recommend, and pretty much everybody recommends. This is StreamPro.io. See that? StreamPro.io. It is a layout generator, basically. Now, they have pre-made layouts, but they're not very useful for poker. They're really for gaming. But you can make your own. So I don't use this thing anymore, but I did, and I think I will maybe go back to using it depending on what I need it to do. It can automate a lot of things interacting with your Twitch account. I've got these layouts here, and what it does is create a web page with a layout on it, and then you can link. You take your ad, and then you go to Other at the bottom, and there's web page URL is an option. And you would take the web page URL from this, and anything that's green is transparent, and anything else will show in the layout on Twitch, on XSplit, which will go to Twitch. So I took that carbon layout and added it here, and then I put a couple of widgets into it. So I would take this and put this as the web page. You can't see that, now you can. I would take this and I could put this as the web page that I want XSplit to be adding to my scene. And if we go back to here, I can go to edit that. Now I've got the edit screen from StreamPro. There's my layout. I can see everything. If I go to widgets, I can choose all of these widgets. There's all these extra things. You can add follower counts and follower alerts when somebody follows you, and subscriber alerts when somebody subscribes. If you watch Jason Somerville's thing, he's getting a subscriber every minute or two, and he's giving them a little shout out. Hey, thanks for subscribing again, Bluffer420 or whatever the screen name is. So that's one of the things that it'll do for you. You can also add polls and subscriber counts, and some people have, my most recent subscriber and then today's subscribers and the total subscriber number, and there's all kinds of things. You can add a Twitter feed from here. All these widgets you can add to StreamPro. It's pretty easy to use when you add a widget, and then if I go back to the editor, this is one of the widgets. This is a latest follower widget, and then it'll put their name on it. You can resize and realign those things and choose all kinds of things about them, the block that's there and the font. You can put an image in behind it. You can add an alert sound, but people just use these to kind of put them in there so that they get an alert anytime there's a follower or a donation or a subscriber. They can list your most recent donation or your biggest donations, all kinds of other things you can do with StreamPro that add to your scene that you're doing in XSplit. But I'm not currently using StreamPro for much, and I haven't put it in my last couple broadcasts. I just don't know if I need it. Or it is kind of the best thing that does what it does with adding all of those things in. Let's go back to XSplit. First, when you're in Twitch, the bandwidth that you need for Twitch isn't all that big, which is good news. You do need a fairly good upstream, but a typical cable modem connection will be fine, and if you're playing online poker, you probably have an excellent connection anyway. The important thing about Twitch is that it needs to be consistent, a really consistent connection. Very few people have perfect streams with Wi-Fi, even good Wi-Fi. I've got a great 3.0 router, and I still don't have perfect broadcasts with Wi-Fi. If you get a Cat 6 cable, you can buy a cheap Cat 5e or Cat 6 cable on Amazon for $6 or whatever, and get wired into your router. You'll have much more consistent streams and less dropped frames. And then, what kind of computer do you need? The good news is we don't need the high-end gaming machines that a lot of this is a very common CPU, and when I try to Google it, I see there's benchmark, and so I can see the speed at which it runs, and then the first link is always the benchmark from this Passmark, the company that does the CPU benchmarks. We get 3751. That was a very common processor in laptops a year or two ago, and it has a benchmark score of 3751, and it's approximately the minimum that you're going to want to broadcast with on Twitch when you're doing online poker. Now, Twitch says you want 7600 as a benchmark score to use Twitch. At least that should be your goal. But that is assuming that you're playing online, that you're playing video games that are much more intensive. They say you should have a good video card and you should have a 7600 benchmark score and all those things. Poker doesn't require all of those things. It's very easy on your graphics. It's not a lot to broadcast. You don't need high frame rates. So this is about what you need, is about a 3750. Whatever the CPU is in your computer, I know that the processor in my Microsoft Surface tablet, say, that I'm using to do Twitch when I'm on the road, is about 4500, and it seems to be just fine. The processor in the PC that I'm using right now is around 9000, and it just screams, has no trouble with any of those things. A modern i5 processor, 4th generation or newer, will generally handle this, and any i7 processor will handle this. Even some of the new i3 processors will probably handle this okay for streaming online poker. I think that pretty much covers it. You can always get a hold of me if you have any questions about other things on Twitch. There's your basics on how to use XSplit, which you can get at xsplit.com. And then you'll have an option for Broadcaster or Gamecaster. Download the Broadcaster. You see that up here. And it's a fairly simple setup once you know how the layout stuff works.